Biology. It's the story of life itself, a story that spans billions of years and covers every single living thing, from the tiniest microbe to the biggest whale. So, with a topic that massive, where in the world do you even begin? Well, let's start with just the sheer, mind-blowing scale of it all. I mean, look at this. On one end, you've got these incredible little organisms called diatoms. Each one is basically a tiny living jewel. And on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have the gentle giant of the ocean, the whale shark. The variety is it's absolutely staggering. So that brings up a really fascinating question, right? What could possibly connect something as delicate as a flower to something as complex as you or me? Are there any fundamental rules that actually govern every single living thing? Well, believe it or not, there are. Yeah, despite all that incredible variety we see, all life, no matter what shape or size it takes, plays by the exact same set of core rules. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. All right, let's jump right in. The best way to think about modern biology is like a huge, incredible building, and it's held up by four foundational pillars. These are the unifying principles that everything else is built on. So what are they? They are cell theory, gene theory, homeostasis, and of course, evolution. These four big ideas, together, they create a kind of roadmap that helps us make sense of what it even means to be alive. First up, let's look at the absolute basics, the bricks and the blueprints of life. What is it all made of? And what are the instructions that tell it how to build itself in the first place? And that brings us to cell theory. It's a super simple idea, but it is so profound. The cell is the basic building block of every single living thing. Just pause and think about that for a second. From a whale shark with trillions of cells to a single-celled diatom, it's all made of cells. And maybe even crazier, every single one of those cells came from another cell that already existed. Okay, so if cells are the bricks, what's the blueprint? Where's the master plan that tells each of those little bricks what to do, what to become, and how to work with all the other bricks? Well, the answer is in our genes. Gene theory tells us that all of an organism's traits, everything from your eye color to how your body works, it's all written down in the code of its DNA. This incredible molecule is the ultimate instruction manual for life, and it's the legacy we pass down to the next generation. But how does a code on a molecule actually do anything? This is where the magic really happens, in a process with a kind of formal name, the central dogma. But think of it like this. Your DNA is the master blueprint, and it's kept super safe in the cell's library. When it's time to build something, a copy of just one page is made. That's RNA. That copy, that little message, then goes out to the workshop, where it's read and used to build a specific protein. And it's that beautiful, elegant flow of information, from DNA to RNA to protein, that turns a genetic code into a living, breathing reality. So we've got the building blocks and we've got the blueprint. But life isn't static, right? It exists in a world that is constantly changing all the time. And that brings us to our third pillar, the really delicate art of balance. This incredible ability is called homeostasis. You can kind of think of it like the thermostat in your house. It's always working, always making tiny adjustments to keep the inside temperature just right, no matter if it's freezing or boiling outside. For living things, this means keeping things like temperature and pH perfectly balanced just to stay alive. And you can see this principle in action absolutely everywhere. Your own body is the perfect example, working around the clock to stay at that nice, cozy 98.6 degrees. But then you can zoom in, and you'll find every single cell in your body is meticulously managing its own internal chemistry. And then zoom all the way out, and entire ecosystems, like forests, are helping to regulate our planet's atmosphere. It's this fundamental balancing act happening at every single scale of life. Okay, so we've got cells, we've got a genetic blueprint, and we've got a system for staying in balance. But that still doesn't explain that wild variety of life we saw at the beginning. I mean, how did we get all that incredible diversity? Well, that brings us to our final and probably most famous pillar, evolution. Evolution is really the grand unifying story of all of biology. It's the core idea that all life on Earth is related, that we all share a common ancestor, deep, deep in the past. And all the incredible diversity we see today, that's the result of a slow, beautiful process of change, passed down through countless generations over billions of years. And just look at this incredible example. The foot of a gecko is a masterpiece of natural engineering. I mean, how did it get so impossibly sticky? It's through natural selection. Basically, any traits that help an organism survive and have babies are more likely to get passed on. So, over millions of years, that simple process sculpted the gecko's foot, creating these microscopic structures that literally let it defy gravity. It's amazing. But here's where the story gets really, really interesting. While the fact that evolution happens is pretty much settled science, the exact details of how it works, well, that's still a subject of some pretty passionate debate among biologists. This powerful quote from the amazing biologist Lynn Margulis really cuts right to the heart of that debate. Her point was, we often think of natural selection as this grand creative force, right? But maybe it's more of a filter. It weeds things out, but it doesn't necessarily create brand new things from scratch. And that idea, it really challenges the traditional view and opens up a whole new way of thinking. And this all boils down to one huge fundamental question. What exactly is being selected for? When we talk about survival of the fittest, who are we talking about? The fittest gene, the fittest individual animal, or maybe even the fittest group? So this has led to two main schools of thought here. On one side, you've got the gene-centric view, which was famously called the selfish gene. This idea suggests that all of us, every living thing, we're just survival machines, these really elaborate vehicles built by our genes just to make more copies of themselves. But on the other side, you have what's called multi-level selection theory, and this argues that reality is way more complex. Selection isn't just about genes. It can happen at the level of the cell, the individual, and even the entire group, all at the same time. This whole debate is such a perfect reminder that biology isn't some dusty old textbook with all the answers. It's a living, breathing science. The four principles we talked about today, they're our best understanding of life so far, but they're constantly being tested and refined. It really makes you wonder, right? If we're still fine-tuning the basic rules we already know, what completely new principles of life are still out there, just waiting for us to find them?